Greetings, students, and welcome to the start of the 2017-2018 school year. My name is Dr. David Sutton. I am the AP English Literature teacher here at Chisholm Trail High School, and this is our quick overview of the syllabus. I'm recording this as a revision to the first that I posted just because it was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, and I'd rather focus on just a couple of very key components of this. So, first things first, let's get to it. The communication methods that I ask students to use when in my courses are quite simple. First one is email, dsutton@ems-isd.net. I ask that all emails that you send me be directly from your student email address that is provided by the school district, just because then it's much more secure and I can make certain that there's a lesser chance of any viruses coming from the contacts that you're making. More importantly, it's important to make use of the email addresses that are provided by your institutions, just because they're going to be more professional than most students choose to select for their own personal emails, and at the same time it gives you free space, access to the Microsoft Office suite that can be used for writing your papers and things. It's just much more beneficial than using any other email service. Also, I do keep a Twitter that is... There's not really a distinction between who I am on the Twitter. I'm Dr. Sutton on that Twitter. It doesn't have political thoughts or perspectives or anything like that of me. It's just a connected Twitter that goes to my EMS ISD email address, so it's all district approved. And it gives me a chance to be able to directly interact with you in the spur of the moment. It's a chance to be able to, you ask me questions through direct messages, through Twitter posts. It gives me a chance to be able to support you in all the things that y'all are doing, and it's a really amazing way to be able to maintain contact. I like using Twitter far better than Remind 101 or Facebook or any of those things, so please follow me on Twitter if you have one. If you do not have one, I highly encourage you to get one because it's a good tool to have as you're getting ready to apply and it's in college. Alright, I'm not going to go through the course description. Y'all are big kids and all, y'all can read this thing, but I do want to go through the course specifics. The course specifics in this particular class are pretty straightforward. We're going to read, we're going to write, we're going to have conversations, and more conversations than in some cases we do the other things. For writing, you're going to write a whole bunch this year. I've modified my AP curriculum quite a bit because I'm wanting to drive success in student performance on the AP test. So, you're going to be writing 2 research papers every single 6 weeks. You're also going to be writing multiple timed writings. You may have had a lot of timed writings in the past year with AP Language if you took it. If that's the case, you should be pretty accustomed to doing it, especially if you had me. If, however, you were coming to us from a non-AP English 3 class, then it's a pretty good chance that you're going to have to adjust very quickly to a lot of writing. I'm sorry, but you're taking AP, and welcome aboard. Reading. We read, and we read fast in here. I do not spend 6 weeks on one book. I spend 6 weeks on 2 books, a whole plethora of poems and short stories and different things that are pulled into it. We read a lot. And I don't read in class. We read outside of class. We may occasionally scan a little piece and all that I bring into class that's manageable in that class moment. But for the most part, you're going to be doing your reading at home. That's the only thing, save the research paper, that I really ask you to spend time doing at home is to read. I give you the reading schedule in advance. I'll let you know what text we're going to work on. I give you sort of an indication of what parts of the text we're going to look at each class period, and then you can read when time permits. For those of you in band, football, cheer, dance, any sort of student organization where you travel a lot on a bus, carry your books. AP students do spend time enjoying themselves. I do want you to spend time with your organizations, but they also spend time reading whenever there's a free moment. So make use of the time that you do have and get the reading assignments finished. Conversations. You cannot pass this course without talking, because the best way to be able to understand the literature you've read and make applications of it to your life, to the author's purpose, to everything that we're doing in this class is to talk about the text and to talk about how you're studying. My classroom is unlike any classroom in all of CTHS. I have tables. I have office chairs. I have space to move. I give you the ability to have flex seating and flex arrangements so that you can collaborate with different people at different moments in time. Having an argument with one of your friends? Fine. We'll move you somewhere different. It'll be a comfortable seat. It'll be a chance to be able to work collaboratively together. So might as well get ready for these conversations because they're going to happen. I'll be a part of them. You'll be a part of them. We're all going to grow from there. Materials needed. I have 7 points that I want you all to focus on with picking up materials. First, pencils. You're going to need them for all your different subjects, math and stuff like that, so just have pencils. Have pens. Please, no pink or something that's very unable to be read. For every single essay you write, you're going to write in pen. I want no essays in pencil. I will not even accept an essay in pencil. Please note, this is me talking about the in-class timed writings, not the research paper. Research paper's got a different set of requirements and it's covered in its own video. Sticky notes. Please get post-it notes so you can annotate the school's text. If you buy your own, you can skip these. You can annotate right in that text and all because you own it. But if it's my copy that I give you, please make certain you get sticky notes for it. Paper for taking notes and for writing essays. A 1.5 inch to 2 inch binder. Pick the one that's the cheapest of the two that you find. I believe there's one by, I think it's Casemate at Walmart that's relatively cheap. It's way cheaper than some of the other brands. So go cheap. It doesn't need to be fancy. You do need to have the ability to write your name on the outside of it. And please, if you're using something other than, a white notebook or something where it can easily show up, please somehow mark your binder at home before you bring it, because I've only got a couple of different Sharpie colors, and let's be honest, they're not going to show up on black or dark blue or dark green or dark red easily. Now, the binder must have 6 dividers labeled Q1, Q2, Q3, Research, and Multiple Choice, and Notes. You'll be required to file all of your documents on time into the binder, and I will actually be giving grades for the binder usage every single 6 weeks. You need to keep the materials concise and together because we are going to be looking progressively at your success in my class, and it is important to have everything from start to finish there. This is going to be an organized portfolio that at the end of the year you will take with you and be able to use as you go into college, because sometimes you will take college English courses perhaps and all that this applies to. Now, this next part is something I've never asked students to do before, but I have to with the sheer volume of students that we have this year. I'm asking that students purchase 2 books. The books are not overly expensive. If you go to Half Price Books or Amazon.com's Marketplace or ThriftBooks.com, you can get a used copy for a reasonable price. The first one is Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. We're going to read that the first 6 weeks. The second one is Kate Chopin's The Awakening, which we're going to read third 6 weeks. For most students, Brave New World is the first kind of different text that they've read. But it's an amazing text, and it's very insightful to the world that we live in today, because when it was written, science fiction. Today, reality. So we're going to study that when we go through it. Kate Chopin's The Awakening is a fundamental text that allows people to truly understand the place of women within society. It is a fundamentally, foundational, life-altering piece that I really think will add a lot of value to our students' experiences before they go to college, and at the same time, it will add to their ability to pass on the AP exam. Finally, your district email and Canvas access. I know parents often get upset about the amount of materials they have to get for the students. I have only gone with the bare minimum stuff that we need to be successful. Everything else I provide. I've got copies of all the other texts in more copies than I actually have students. It's just these 2 that I don't have enough. I provide the Xerox copies frequently. I'll use Canvas a lot. I'm fully there to be able to help you be successful. I just ask that you please purchase the 6 items, the 6 different points that are there, and make certain that you're ready to go. 1 through 5 really need to be ready to go within week 1. By Friday, hopefully at the latest, because we're going to definitely have plenty of notes that we're going to start with immediately on Tuesday. The books, again, first 6 weeks you get Brave New World, third 6 weeks you need The Awakening. I would really suggest go ahead and get them now, used, because they're going to be cheaper right now, more copies of them available because it's the end of a summer semester term at the colleges, so a lot of kids are selling them back. It just works out better. Alright. Evaluations are the same thing y'all seen before. You can read over this section 70%, 30%, major grades, minor grades. I give a ton of major grades. In all honesty, I like giving major grades more than anything, just because a lot of the work that we do is all progressive towards the AP exam, and I feel that the students' scores at the end of the 6 weeks and the end of the semester and end of the year should be reflective of their mastery of the content. It should be a close reflection of how they can do on the test, but that really kind of depends on test day, but it is a reflection on their preparedness for college. Remediation and tutoring. I do offer tutoring before and after school, also by student appointment. There will be no tutoring during the lunchtime because we're going to be doing something different with that at CTHS this year. More importantly, I do appreciate students coming in if they need to and work something out, but I also do like having the ability to snag lunch and then be available for other duties as they become available. But for most assignments that students do in my class, if they show me that they have given 100% of their effort at the moment they submitted their work, they've done their best, then I'm going to offer them multiple opportunities to come back and recoup most, if not all, of their points that they lost. I believe in mastery over everything else. If I want to prep students for the AP exam, I don't just leave them with a score and then them not learn from it. I bring them in, I teach them what they didn't do right, I help them to revise it, I show them the pathways to success, and then they pass. Now, I've kind of passed over the section on class rules. I still very much believe in the respect aspect of our classroom, but our school's kind of going in a slightly different focus of having teachers post multiple rules up on the boards or on the room. So what I've done this year is kind of focused my rules and policies a little bit more. Number one, there's a cell phone policy. Well, it still allows students to have their phones in many cases on their desk, and I'm going to be working to teach students how to appropriately use their phones in educational environments, as opposed to just having them put them away all the time. But I'm going to ask that students not be on the phones whenever we're having conversations, receive 0 phone calls during class, and I'm also going to ask them to have their phones put away during testing or timed writings. If the policy is not followed, then the phones will be removed from my class. Additionally, we are going to have several policies this year that focus on the tardy problem that we've had in the school. This year, if a student is late to class after the bell is rung, all teachers are going to shut their doors locked, and a student will not be allowed into the classroom until they go get a slip from either one of the tardy stations or the attendance office at the front of the school. I will be checking these slips. Students are not allowed to even knock until they've gotten their slips, and the tardy penalties and all will accrue through the central office, through the administrators, but I'm going to enforce this policy. Last year there were students that would show up to some classes nearly 20 minutes late, and I cannot prepare a student to be successful in AP at 20 minutes late. And if you were to enter a college class at 20 minutes late, well, I'll speak from my own experiences because I do teach college as well, I would ask you to leave. And if it was an extenuating circumstance, you could probably ask me to talk to you. There is a little bit more flexibility in classrooms, but again, that typically does not happen. Usually it's just some sort of innocuous reason. And this next year, be on time. Come in, do your business, get ready to go. This does also include bathroom policy. Students are not going to the bathroom the first 10 minutes of class, don't even ask, and they're not going the last 10 minutes. If a student is in the bathroom when the bell rings, I promise you, I will not have given any permission to go to the restroom anywhere near the bell ringing. Students are to be responsible for their own timing. They should watch the clock. If they know they cannot make it back in the time that's been allotted, then they need to wait. I'm sorry, but the policy is very strict this year because we are going to do everything it takes to make for student success. And if there's a weak link in the chain, then it won't be effective, and I refuse to be the weak link. Alright, so anyway, back to business. So the selection of literature policy from the College Board basically covers the College Board's perspective on choosing literature for an AP course. Now, I'm going to read just the bottom portion of it. Since AP students have chosen a program that directly involves them in college-level work, the AP English Literature and Composition exam depends on a level of maturity consistent with the age of 12th grade students who have engaged in thoughtful analysis of literary text. The best response to a controversial detail or an idea in a literary work might well be a question about the larger meaning, purpose, or overall effect of the detail or idea in context. AP students should have the maturity, the skill, and the will to seek the larger meaning through thoughtful research. Such thoughtfulness is both fair and owed to the art and to the author. This is from page 8 of the Manual for AP Literature. Now, I'm going to be as simplistic as I can. I'm going to go down just a little bit in the syllabus. I'll come back to my philosophy in a moment. And I want to explain how this policy ties into what I've selected for us to read. First, I have made certain not to select titles that are completely out of the range of our students. There are titles that have far more offensive pieces, that have far more questionable pieces and all for a high school age student in them. I did not select any of these. I did, however, select texts that, number one, first and foremost, teach the skills the students need to be able to be successful on the AP exam. Number two, focus on themes that the students can access through both the text, the main novel, the piece itself, poetry that's related to it, and short stories. And I do have a couple pieces that do have a minute amount of controversy in it. However, the controversy is very minute. It is a piece that we are going to acknowledge because you need to. But we are going to be talking about the greater, larger meaning of that controversial element to the overall text, as opposed to me just having the students read it and then not address it at all. Way too often what happens with these types of text is that a professor or a teacher will assign it, they won't read the book themselves, and then they have no idea what controversial pieces the students actually read. They haven't actually weighed it. I've carefully weighed this. I've taught these same pieces year after year. They've been very successful with the past 4 years at CTHS with teaching them, and I believe in them. First 6 weeks is going to have the theme of future imperfect. We're going to be looking at dystopian societies and all where they have this view of future being less than rosy, less than wonderful. Both of them look at it from a technological standpoint, The Illustrated Man and Brave New World. And in The Illustrated Man, nothing controversial within it. It's a wonderful collection of short stories by Ray Bradbury, same guy that brought you Fahrenheit 451. And it is about a gentleman that gets tattoos from this person from the future that has this futuristic ink. And I'm going to leave it there. We'll talk about it more during class, but nothing questionable in it. No, nothing to do with sexuality, nothing politically motivated in any of these, in these two texts, necessarily. It's very accessible for the students. Brave New World. First controversial text. There's two of them in this list. It's the first controversial text, and the reason it is because more times than not, parents will have come into contact with it with a teacher that didn't teach it. A Brave New World is about a futuristic society where there's two different parts to it. There's the mainstream society where they have accepted Henry Ford's assembly model process as the ultimate way to live. Humans are engineered using that same process, put into sections of the workforce based upon what they've been programmed or raised to do, and everybody's largely happy. Since reproduction takes place in a factory, the sexual relationships that they do have are usually induced because of medication that they'll take, and then it's more of a communal relationship as opposed to a marital relationship like you might see in a traditional couple. If that's all you see in the text, then you've missed that there's a whole other sect of the population, the sect that the real story is about, where they still believe in monogamy, they still believe in reproducing and all, and having children through normal means. They believe in the same principles that many people that object to this believe in. And the story really begins about 2/3 of the way into it when it's a look at the juxtaposition of these two societies with each other and what happens. And it's more of a commentary on the perspective of somebody from the, well, more akin to us society going to the futuristic society than it is about that future society. The mention of sexual behaviors and stuff like that, it's in there, but it's not a major theme. It's just in there. And not all the time, and not to a grotesque level. The next 6 weeks, second 6 weeks, is going to be the surface and beyond. And this we're going to actually look at black individuals and their interactions with the society around them. First is Shakespeare's masterpiece Othello. It's one of the best pieces that he's ever written. And it focuses on a black individual that is a Moor. He has become the general of the Venetian military. And it approaches issues such as interracial marriage for a moment, and then it shifts completely over to looking at not so much Othello himself as it does the villain Iago that's in the piece. Raising of the Sun is without a doubt one of the strongest pieces that focuses on the shifting of perspectives around the time of the Civil Rights Movement. You have a black family that has lived in poverty but worked as hard as they possibly can to build a proper life for their children, and then you're looking at their children as adults and how they accept the world that has been made for them. It's a very insightful piece. This particular 6 weeks is paired together with some very amazing poetry and short stories that really looks at cultural elements. And it looks not only at the outer side of it, because you do acknowledge the fact that you're looking at black individuals, but we dig much more deeper into it to be able to really understand the soul of the individuals, the soul of the peoples, and to be able to really see that the surface, while it is indicative and reflective of an aspect of the person, that it's not all there is to them. The next two pieces that are listed are The Role of the Women. I've already mentioned Kate Chopin's The Awakening, and then we have Wuthering Heights. This 6 weeks really doesn't have anything that I'm worried about with controversy. We're really going to be looking at pieces that try and promote the idea of women being moved more to the forefront of existence. The Awakening is a very amazing piece at this. Both of them written within a small time frame of each other, to the point that we can kind of look at different methods of approaching this similar topics at the exact same time period within two different cultures. So a very outstanding selection that we have there. Lessons of Adolescence. Welcome to controversial piece 2, The Kite Runner. The Kite Runner is controversial for one simple reason. The text does include a moment where a young boy is sexually assaulted by a group of other boys. Not overly descriptive, not to the level of grotesqueness, but there is enough implication to know what did happen. And it's important to acknowledge that that incident happens, because the story's not about, revisiting that exact same moment. It's about how something that takes place within that moment impacts the main character within the story, and then how they spend the rest of their life trying to deal with what has happened. It's a story of ultimate guilt and then ultimate redemption. It's a beautiful story. It's a culture that is not our own. Ours does pop up into it a little bit, but it's a completely different world to the majority of it. And it's important that students be experiencing a worldview, because the College Board is shifting the AP test more in that direction. Poisonwood Bible is a story about a family that decides to do missionary work in Africa, and it's just a wonderful little telling of it from the story from multiple perspectives. And we're going to be spending the majority of our time looking at how the kids in this family perceive the world that they're in, and how they evolve throughout the text more than anything else. Then Discovery of Self, we have The Importance of Being Earnest, a wonderful Oscar Wilde piece, and then Frankenstein. Nothing controversial about either of these texts. I think they're perfectly appropriate, as I am certain on all the others, but they'll give a nice ending as we're getting ready to move into some very intense AP preparations and into the test itself. I know these texts are controversial. I know at least Kite Runner is in Brave New World. Before you say no to your child reading this particular text, I humbly ask, please reach out to me so that we can talk about them. I'd like to have an opportunity to really kind of understand your perspective, your child's perspective, and see if, number one, we can have a conversation about it and may be able to help alleviate any concerns about it, and if not, then I can have a better understanding of what alternate piece to select for your child. Please note, if an alternate piece is selected, I'm happy to provide it, but that does not mean that your child will be exempt from the knowledge that's gained from that text, because they're still going to face prompts that have been built so that that text could answer them. And there's a pretty good chance that text could still come up on the AP exam itself, in excerpts or on the Q3. So I can give them a level of protection in the class, and I'm happy to provide that for all my students. And I will do everything possible to make certain that they are comfortable. However, my protections only can happen in my classroom. The AP materials the College Board provides, that's the College Board. And the College Board, as is stated in the policy above, will choose its material based upon a student having a level of maturity to be able to handle the text that it's approved, and every last one of these texts is approved. So again, if you do have a concern, please reach out to me, let's talk about it, and then we can see where we can go from there. Please don't be afraid to talk to me. I'm completely accessible. I really do want to make certain, first and foremost, students are successful in my class and comfortable. I can only do that if you reach out to me. And the final thing, it's got my philosophy up here. Please just go ahead and read that on your own. At 26 minutes, I don't think many of you really are wanting to watch much more of this, and in fact, many of you may have clicked through several parts of this video, and that's perfectly acceptable. But I did want to make certain I did a thorough syllabus overview. Once you've gone through that, come down to the bottom section. Please make certain that you read through it. It also includes information about the purchasing of the books, the writing component, mediation, and then it talks a little bit about the AP exams. AP exams are usually about 84 to 87 bucks. There's sometimes a discount that's applied to students, but there's never a guarantee that will happen. I encourage parents and students that are preparing to have multiple exams taken, please start paying for them now. Don't wait until spring, because that's a lot of cash all at once. Start doing it now. It's better to budget one test per month as opposed to having to try and budget 6 of these bad boys all at the same time. And then finally, there's information about the mock exams. I'll be providing a separate video on this here in a few moments. Please watch that video, and then once you're done, come down to the bottom. I want both students and parents to sign this. I'll be keeping this document. Cut along the dotted line and just send me back the small portion. I don't need the whole image. I do look forward to working with all of you this year. I promised a shorter video at the start of this. It looks like I may have been a little bit off, but again, I did want to make certain that I did a thorough review of everything so that you would have all of your questions answered. Thank you. Have a great day.